Hi, it's Washington State Republican Party Chairman Jim Walsh here for our weekly Chairman's Update. This week, we have been deeply involved in launching the WAGOP's Project to Resist Tyranny in Washington. Now, some will interpret this as a project directed at the newly elected incoming governor. It's not. It's a bigger issue than that. As many of you will remember, the WAGOP has been doing regular, kind of monthly projects. These are specific actions focused around specific points in public policy or law or budgets that really clarify our position on important issues facing the state of Washington. And what this project to resist tyranny in Washington looks at is not a single point in policy, but a couple of points in policy that have to do with the encroaching, increasing, inching toward authoritarian overreach in Washington state government. So what we've seen is this creeping effect out of Olympia, affecting all of Washington state, toward authoritarian overreach and frankly, kind of wannabe petty tyranny. We saw it even before the COVID outbreaks, but the creep took a big creep forward during COVID, in which the governor exercised lawful emergency powers in a way that we believe overreached, went beyond the letter of the law and the intent of the law around emergency powers. And since the COVID outbreaks ended, really the governor's office, and it doesn't matter whether the outgoing guy was in there or the incoming guy is coming in there, the office has continued the overreach, using executive orders and in some cases emergency powers, in other cases just executive powers, in a way that really we believe is unconstitutional. It violates the constitutional separation of powers in government, where the legislature is supposed to make law, the judiciary interprets the law that the legislature makes, and the executive branch enforces the law. What we have going on in Olympia right now and all around our state is a situation where the executive branch, embodied primarily in the governor, really is trying to do everything, trying to make law, interpret law, and enforce law. And that is authoritarian. That is this kind of wannabe petty tyranny. Some will justify this, arguing it's the unitary executive or unified executive. Unitary is the term usually used. That's balderall. The powers of government are supposed to be separated among the three branches. Now, to put a fine point on this overreach, there is a new law taking effect in Washington January 1st that creates a hate speech snitch line where citizens can call, really anybody can call, a phone number, a snitch line, and complain about their neighbors, about other people, someone they randomly met at the mall or movie theater or restaurant, who they believe exhibited hate speech. Now, I mean, this could be, it's really not defined. This could be just about anything. God forbid you should wear a MAGA hat to a restaurant. You might get a call to the snitch line complaining about you. This is an un-American and unconstitutional program run by the state of Washington, codified at least for the moment in our state law. It is echoes, the East German Stasi during the Cold War, turning citizens against each other, encouraging neighbors to snitch on neighbors about bad behavior. It violates the Washington State Constitution's protection of free speech and the U.S. Constitution's protection of free speech. But the Washington State Constitution goes one even further. The Washington State Constitution, in Article 1, the Bill of Rights, describes the absolute freedom of conscience as a protected constitutional right. And the absolute freedom of conscience usually has a connotation connected with religious beliefs, but really it applies to anything. Religious beliefs, political beliefs, I don't know, conspiracy theories if you want to believe them, even beliefs that some people would call hateful. Absolute freedom of conscience. You have the right to believe what you believe. And I think these authoritarian, wannabe tyranny snitch lines are designed to have a chilling effect, not just on speech, but on thoughts, on conscience. And the Washington State Republican Party is vehemently, adamantly opposed to that kind of overreach by the state government that has a chilling effect on free speech and free thought. So there are other elements to our project to resist tyranny. We don't like the fact that these petty tyrants, would-be tyrants, simultaneously undermine our law enforcement community, undermine law enforcement in the state, while at the same time undermining your right as a citizen of Washington to protect yourself, to carry a firearm or do other things to protect yourself and your family and your home. These are antithetical philosophical points, but the consistent theme here is to destabilize lawful society and remove your ability to protect yourself. As a result, becoming more dependent, they believe, on the state government. This is something else that the Washington State Party, Republican Party, adamantly opposes. And finally, there's a general sense of undermining families, undermining parental rights to raise your minor children in the manner that you choose, even turning spouse against spouse or parent against child, undermining the nuclear family structure. The Washington State Republican Party defends families and parents' rights. So this project to resist tyranny is getting some media attention, and that's a good thing. It will be one of our policy focuses the next several years going forward. We look at it as a duty that the WAGOP has, Washington State Republicans, you have, to check the authoritarian overreach of the executive branch here in Washington State. And I just want to read you one quote that we put into our release on the project to resist tyranny in Washington. It's a quote that has banged around a little bit here in the state, but I think it applies in this situation. I hope to God, and I pray these things we're talking about will never happen. If the WAGOP never has to file a single lawsuit against the Ferguson administration, no one will be happier than I am. But I'm not naive. Don't be naive. Protect your constitutional rights. Resist tyranny. Do it happily because our beautiful state deserves to be defended by free people. And you are free people. You'll see more about the project to resist tyranny in Washington on our PCO portal. I encourage you to get used to using that portal. It's part of the WAGOP website. The PCO portal is going to become an increasingly valuable method of communication and exchange of information and really just community online. Encourage you to get activated there. If you have any questions about that, you can contact Ashley Ray, our Director of Development at the Washington State Republican Party. And I encourage you to join us in our project to resist tyranny in Washington. That's it for this week. Until I talk to you again, be well and stay strong.